Hi everyone, so today we're going to look at bryankohberger, the Idaho 4 case basically. So on the last read I said if you do want more of this, let me know, because it's worth me putting the energy where it's the content that you want to see. I then put a poll up but no one responded until a couple of days later, and I think I know who put a vote. There was a vote and then the vote was taken, then there was a few days and then someone put a vote which is still there. But I remember my last reading. So firstly, if you're enjoying the channel, please do support the channel. I see that there's, channels that have 500,000 or more that say about their channel not being in the algorithm. So you can imagine the struggles I'm having. So please do please do subscribe. And like I said, if you do enjoy the content, and this is a topic that you're still fascinated by, please do let me know. What I've not listened to all the documents. I haven't even listened to all the injuries, but I'll be honest with you, when I saw and please share your views in the comments, when I saw the house, the photos of the crime scene, the house, I was like a bit shocked. I was like, is this like a staged home that they've, it looks like it's a staged home used to show something. It doesn't look like a crime scene at all. It doesn't like a scuffle happened. And it took me forever to look at some of them, and I haven't seen them all. So again, where I speak, you might come back to me and say, actually, Zain, this was mentioned in this document, because I haven't listened to even 25%. And when I saw some of the crime scene photos, I was actually worried about seeing them, because I know they said they wasn't showing any bodies, but the amount of red that I expected to be there was, what I saw was nothing. I mean, if you've got a cut from shaving your leg, sometimes there's more blood in the red in the bathroom or wherever you're shaving your leg, hopefully not in the bed, then what I've seen in some of those photos. And like I said, I've only seen I've seen the one where there's stairs, and then there's a van. This is where it looks like it's staged. It's crazy. There's a white thing. There's some lights. There's like a white, I don't want to say chest of drawers, but a cabinet thing. Some lights around. It looks really pretty. Maybe a vase or something. And then I've seen, I don't know if it's whose room it is. There's a chair, and then there's apparently a dog underneath it that now I know is called Murphy, which sometimes I hear people saying it was Maddie's dog. Some people saying it was Kaylee's dog. I don't know what's happening. Which I will get to as well, is that I feel like what's been released, and like I said, I've not listened to it all, so I might be speaking from a naive perspective, and I don't mind it. This is the problem with not releasing stuff that answers questions. I feel like it's brought up more questions, and if anything, like I said in my readings, this would have been chaos. I mean, right now I can see people that are like, it's definitely him, and some people that were like in the middle are like, I feel like I can't make a decision at all anymore. And those that were definitely not him feel stronger that it's not him, because for me, I don't think there's answers. And I've not, like I said, I've not looked into it all, because I like to, at this stage, looking into it a little bit would be good. So I was listening to someone who was reading the documents on a channel the other day in the gym. Obviously, I was there for an hour and a half, so I don't know a lot. What I do know, I will obviously say. But yeah, so that's one. 2 was Murphy. The cabinet, the 2 was Murphy. Then it's someone's room where there's a little bit of red on a bed. And I don't know if there's another picture that's similar to that. But I'd say that I can confirm those 3 I have seen. And Oh, I have seen one where there's a sofa and there's cups. But I'm surprised, like it doesn't give me a sense of a lived-in home. It feels like it's a staged home. It's really weird, and I don't know if anyone else feels like that. Like, it does not look like the crime scene even that I could see. And I'm not talking about the home inside, I'm talking about the amount of red at least. And yeah, I don't know, that those pictures I saw were shocking, but like I said, I've not seen everything. So I just want to pose some things, and I want you to take it as in, this is what we need to, actually, I don't even know if I can read my notes. In the last read, I actually said a question, and I said I'll visit it more in the next read if we want one. The question was, does BK know of JS, or does JS know of BK? I asked it one way and then I was going to ask it another way, but the one way gave me an answer of yes, and I can't remember which way it was. And because no one voted, I just left it where it is. Now I have something that I don't know why I can't read it, that I made notes of. But what I'm going to do is leave this for the next time. The other thing is, you know, please allow me to be a bit more of a crime question investigator, to highlight LE, law enforcement, and the justice system, as opposed to trying to make a conspiracy or trying to point fingers at a victim, because I wouldn't want that. But again, you know, and I've done my channeling and readings, but let's put that on the side a minute. How many of us would be able to see someone in a balaclava who's heard all that, walk past you, you go in your room, and then you go downstairs, and then you sleep for 8 hours, and then you're able to call? It's happened, because that's what I also channeled. But at the same time, there's still a question. I'd be freaking out. There's absolutely no way, and I probably wouldn't be able to stay in that house. But that's just me, and we're not all like me. But if anyone else feels the same, it would be good to know. So I do want to also say is, why are we not, you know, I said they made a massive cock up with not looking into phone data, orders of the delivery. So with that, what if the DoorDash delivery was a setup of a sign for Kohberger to do what he did via a secondary person? And like I say, there's a secondary energy. So what if that DoorDash delivery driver was actually a sign? Now, some of you might be like, well, that's ridiculous. Yeah, but do we have answers? I don't see any answers. I see that they actually didn't end up looking into this, catching the delivery, the online stuff, which they should have done, you know. The other thing I've seen is that a lot of people saying he called his parents to say about the redrums, so MURDERs in reverse. Thanks, Mimi. But I don't believe that at all. I don't see that. I see, and I explained it in one of the readings, he has two splits to him. He can be morally right and do polite stuff, you know, the robotic, mechanical kind of analytical side, but it's the emotional side that he can't. The thing that went out of into rage, his inner emotions, his inner self that he could not conceptualize, is the word coming through, and also the outlet of that. Which is why, if you go back to where I channeled and profile, because I'm not a professional profiler, him, is I said he feels stuff so intensely, he doesn't know what to do with those emotions. And I can guarantee you, should people look back at any posts or any text, he tried to see how he could cope with depression, emotions, certain things. But because we all go through that kind of stuff, maybe it was not seen as a red flag. And that was him in a way, as like, how can I cope with this? And so what he's eventually done, he's numbed it. But when he's tried to get back onto the emotional, you know, like now we see him robotic and numb, he can't get back to feeling the emotions the healthy way or any feelings. And that's where the disconnect occurred. Because he's tried to numb stuff, and by numbing stuff he's masked it. But also, I'm not saying that this stopped him from being in rage. I'm saying a concept of he actually feels stuff very intensely, then tried to numb it because he was trying to get help in some sort of way of things he felt was not right, that he was a bit of an oddball. I do want to say, I know, and I'm waiting for it to come out, but I've not seen anything, and it might do. I get an offish energy on the father. Disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes. Please don't hate a perp's family. I don't feel it's right that the sisters got fired. But I feel like there's an offish energy of the father, and I don't know what it is, but I might pull some cards on his energy. The other thing I wanted to share with you is I had said that in a comment, I said I get these things, and one of them that I said was the security guard, and then I also said about fishmonger, and I think I found that. I need to go back and find it. I think he did a stint at a fishmongers or fishery. But I also said circling back to Pleasant Street or Pleasant Valley, something like that. And what I found out is that, so I looked up Pennsylvania, and I found that there's a Pleasant Valley School District where he went to school. And now he's in Idaho, which is on Cunner Road, off Pleasant Valley Road, or something like that, because I googled, and eventually I was putting things together, and that's what it is, circling back to Pleasant Valley. How cool is that? Well, it's not really cool, but you know what I mean. So when he made that call to his parents, it was kind of like to stabilize him back into norm life, that side of him, and to kind of mask the massive emotion he did there. But then he had an outlet of freedom that actually took his freedom away from him by that crime. But to balance what is wrong here, he needed that sense of grounding by speaking to his parents. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't answer the call, that it's interesting, I'm itching this finger. He didn't answer the call, that he had tried, if they didn't, that he tried again and again, or to speak to someone that could actually ground him. But I don't believe he would have given them any sign. The only thing that they might have felt is like, this is a bit deterred off his normal routine to call us at this time. But obviously I could be wrong, but that's what I believe in, or that's what I believe. So let's just look at some of my notes, although I do want to read what I just actually, the notes I made in terms of just asking questions. You know, I've not heard anything yet about, let's read this about JS and the wasn't like that, so I don't. So on Friday the 24th, this is evidence of the refrigerator. So this is something that I want to go into. Another thing that's really weird is that the refrigerator broke down. And they say during this time no evidence was ruined, although there was evidence that was relating to this case. Now, the reason things or DNA, etc., are put into those refrigerators is not to get ruined, right? So if they're not going to be ruined by being outside a refrigerator, then why are they in a refrigerator? So clearly, if a refrigerator breaks down for a day, or how even more than that if it was, how comes they're positive no DNA, and who is actually saying no DNA was ruined? Because we're relying on those people that own that to say DNA wasn't ruined, when in fact it needs an outsider to come in and test, is this DNA in full competent of like the cell structures and extra that's needed. Then after that, where it was transferred, the shed outside had burnt down. And so clearly they'd lost some stuff, right? They can't say we didn't lose anything. The shed burnt down, that they had some evidence and DNA in. So saying that nothing was lost and no DNA wasn't ruined, I don't know, a big question mark for me. And it's a bit fishy as well. Like, how often does this happen? The refrigerator breaks down for a day or so, and then apparently there's a fire in the shed. And when I looked it up, they now have a new facility where it's not kept in a shed. But again, a big question mark that possibly that is a big issue for what could be other DNA. So here I've got evidence of a refrigerator. On Friday, January the 24th at around 7:50 in the morning, I arrived at Moscow Police Department to start my shift. When I reached the door, I could hear an electronic beeping noise. Upon entering, I determined the noise was an alarm sounding from the evidence refrigerator unit. The digital temperature display read around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. When I left work the day before, Thursday, January the 23rd, at midday, there was no alarm sounding. The evidence freezer, which is in a separate unit, was not affected. I immediately contacted my supervisor, Captain Hathaway. Captain Hathaway recommended I transfer the items stored in the refrigerator to our secure outlet building where other evidence is kept due to the lower temperatures outside. So we are talking from midday the day before until like nearly 8 a.m. So what is that? 12 midday till 12 in the midnight is 12 hours. And then 8 hours. So you're talking around 20 hours. Something's not affected. They must have cold offices or something. So she recommended to transfer the items in that store place in the outlet building due to the lower temperatures. I turned off the heating units inside the storage area and opened the large garage door to allow that inside temperature to drop quickly. The outside temperature was freezing from the morning. Within 10 minutes, the inside temperature dropped below 50 degrees, which is the lowest number on the thermometer. All items were transferred by 8 o'clock. So he arrived at 7:50 and he did all this in 10 minutes. Yeah, 8 o'clock. Call your captain. Walk in, see this, call your captain. Let's pretend you walk in, the fridge is right there. See this, Call your captain, speak to your captain. Captain says do this, do that. Go out to the storage unit, open the door, let it cool down for a bit. Apparently it was a few minutes, so it's got to be seconds due to this time. It says within 10 minutes it cooled down. And then he goes to the fridge, he takes everything out and puts it in there. What do they have? One little thing? We're not talking about one case here either. At approximately 12:30, which is midday on the same day, Captain Hathaway brought a new 20 cubic feet refrigerator to the outlet building, which he plugged in and set the temperature. An hour or so later, I checked the temperature of this refrigerator and the thermometer read 40 degrees. I transferred all the items to the refrigerator, where they will be temporarily stored until the primary refrigerator unit was repaired. Firstly, let's pretend what he said in terms of the temperature was below 50 degrees. He doesn't know that. We've had 3 temperatures at least of this DNA going in and out wherever it's gone. Surely that causes a disruption in the cell structure. Approximately, so that's what I've just read. I transferred all the items to a refrigerator, where they will be temporarily stored until the primary refrigerator unit was repaired. No DNA extracts were stored in the evidence refrigerator. Those were stored in the evidence freezer. Below a list of the items affected that were being stored in the evidence refrigerator. Then they've got loads of numbers. 17, item 17, blood swab, item this. So like, what, this was, none of that was relevant, that was affected. Then I want to go on to this, and I'm not really sure why I think this might be the driver. Okay, I'll tell you why, and then let me know what you think. Redacted said there was one male driver and noticed he did not look at me. She said he looked completely zoned and just drove by her. Redacted later stated the driver was white with blonde or red spiky hair. Redacted also noticed the dome light in the car was on when it went by, and later told me the male wearing a light collared shirt was sat in the car. Redacted stated she walked back to her car and drove back to the front of King Road, at which point she saw the address numbers. This delivery driver. Redacted said she placed the order at the front door, took a picture, then left at approximately 4 a.m. During the time, so this is where they need to say, this is what she said, I have confirmed that with GPS, her phone, and whoever ordered it, which was Zana. There's no answers here. During the time Redacted was in the area of King Road residence, the white Elantra can be seen via the King Road camera driving back and forth on the Wellington Drive, and then enters King Road, Queen Road Loop. Queen Road is where JS is, by the way, at approximately 3:56 hours a.m. At the point Redacted pulled into the front parking lot before she dropped the other order off, the white Elantra pulled in behind Redacted's vehicle, dropped the order off. Redacted vehicle, a grey Subaru Forester, and then which I think is the driver's car, and then exited King Road at approximately 3:58 hours. Redacted did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time, so they've got this off the cameras. I continued to question Redacted about her time near the residence. She told me she walked down Queen Road at the point with her flashlight out. Redacted can be seen doing so on footage from King Road. Redacted also continued to tell me the female she saw upstairs bathroom window would duck down when Redacted looked at her. Redacted described her as having long brown hair. Redacted stated she could not identify the girl as one of the victims. So, to me, that's a big piece of evidence, the delivery driver, that they just happened to apparently miss. I also had something else here somewhere. So this is where I go on to JS, which is the coverage I did. Let's just read through and let you tell me your red flags. And they've taken the ones that I feel is red flags, right? Blood was found. Remember, there's 94. And I said where it is probably supposed to be 4 because they mentioned 4 places for it. On the 11th of November, on the 23rd of November 2022, so 11/23/2022, MPD officer Morris was contacted by redacted, a maintenance worker for redacted, which manages redacted Queen Road. So this is probably JS's apartment. Redacted, but I can see S. She told OFC Morris he conducted a routine maintenance order on apartment number, I think, redact, because it's redacted Queen Road, redacted on the 22nd of the 11th, 2022. Now, what date was the killings? Within he discovered something of a note. I had OFC Morris call redacted and place him on speakerphone so I could talk to him. This redacted looks like it begins with S, so I don't know if it's a surname. I asked redacted to tell me what he found, and redacted told me he and another maintenance worker entered the apartment on the 22nd of 11/2022 in order to check a water quality complaint made by the tenant. Now, remember, I was getting this in my readings, right? And you can check the readings. Both men checked the kitchen and did not notice any issues. Redacted said he entered the only bathroom in the residence and began to inspect the drain when the other maintenance worker advised there appeared to be red on the shower curtain. Redacted said he looked and discovered what appeared to be 2 separate smudge marks on the shower curtain, which appeared to be dried red. Redacted described the smudges as 1 inch by 1 inch. Redacted said he then noticed another smudge of what appeared to be dried red on the toilet flusher handle. Redacted added there appeared to be a splinter of dried red near the light switch on the interior wall of the bathroom. I asked Redacted to describe the marks. He told me they appeared to be reddish brown in colour. Redacted added, I've seen dried red before, and the marks appeared to be very similar. Redacted added, the only thing he did in the restroom was flush the toilet in order to check the water quality. Redacted said the toilet appeared clean, but became clogged when he flushed it. That's a bit of a sign, isn't it? Clogged toilet, what's been going down there? It ain't just a poo-poo. Redacted noted it was odd the toilet became clogged. Redacted said he and his counterpart then left the apartment. I asked Redacted if anyone else had reason or means to cross the apartment beside he or Redacted between the time he left and the current time. Redacted said no. On entryway to the living room, now I've just only taken another paragraph, I've left the rest of the stuff out. Samples of each were collected, 94 in total, and ISP debt Talbot took photos of the residence upon completion. I left the required paperwork on the couch, leaving the room, and the detective Talbot took a photo of it all. All units cleared without further incident. The search warrant was returned on the 12th of the 4th, 12th of December 2022. Number 4, other. Nothing else to note. And then the person signs, I certify, I declare, and it says CPI pain and the review date. So, okay, so you find all this blood, 94. So firstly, if there is 94 red, what on earth is going on? And is it human? Is it related? I guess it's not related because the person would be in question. They can't deny that much. Is it human? Is it the person? Is it animal? Seen as, you know, in my last read I got, he was a hunter, and we got that come through as a confirmation. Why, you know, as an investigation report, it should close. It asks questions. What you've mentioned where maybe 4 splatter marks are, but then there's 94. What's that? Is that an error? In terms of the red, we tested it. It turned out to be an animal. It turned out to be this person's. And there's no answer there. Like, it's so disappointing as an investigation, as reports in terms of this whole, the investigation report. Like, how can you have a investigation report that doesn't say anything? You could imagine you come to this is years later, but imagine you come to this like 20 years later, no one's around, no one's gonna know, and it's really fishy. So again, I asked you, was the DoorDash delivery also a sign, you know, a planted sign as well? I'd mentioned before about footsteps in the snow, and we do got that weather card because I forgot when it was done, and it was cold weather. It seems like the other thing that I noticed when they were reading some of it was like suspect 1. So they had other suspects. So, right, I haven't heard much. Suspect 1 became the prime suspect because suspect 2, 3, 4, whatever, X reason could not have been. Have you heard anything of that? Yeah, you can see why I said what I said, and I mentioned in the readings, I did say that there would be chaos because also the prosecution are making a story, a narrative of what they believe happened, but they've not got much of a clue, to be honest, apart from creating this story of what they would have needed to. Now, I want to ask, has Koberger, BK, recently, you know, I think they do tests before they send them into prison or something like that, or at the beginning of these things. Has he had like an insanity or mental health test? Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Got a page of cups in the Hanged Man. He did do. He has done. The other thing I want to say is like and comment if you're liking the video, but I also wanted to say something else. BK knew of Jack Showalter. I think he felt he was very arrogant, and he felt like he was like the stud of the town. JS didn't know of BK, so I've just confirmed that. That could be from BK studying stuff, you know, him in the area, seeing him at the place, because I tell you, the person and energy of who was involved was at the place, and I believe BK was as well. The other thing is that it was coming out that BK was asking about his parents and his dog during the time, you know, when he was taken into jail before the case trial or the pleading. What do you think of that? What do you think that means to him? Like, how comes he's so numb, but then he's able to think of his parents? I do get there is a concern. I would be right to say there's a concern, or there's an offish thing. There's something with his dad. That could just simply be like an addiction or something, but something's not right, and I get my confirmation there. The energy of his dad is that he really tried to provide for BK as much as he can. He might have also been a bit tempered, hot-headed, but also kind of like always trying to be like with his son, like, let's go here, let's do this, trying to be not necessarily always his dad, but more of a friend as well. And I don't mean that in a toxic way. I actually mean that in a bit of a healthy way. But he could have been quite like energetic or something there. I don't know where his dad is originally from, but I think there's something about the past here with his dad. So let's have a look here a minute. I've got the 8 of Wands. I've got the 6 of Cups. I've got the Page of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. I don't think his dad always felt his worth as a dad that could provide very well for his family, although he tried, and everything he would earn, he would put it back towards his family. I think his dad had a lot of like fire sign energy. And I think his dad, well, I know his dad worked at the school, and we get that here. But when I asked for confirmation, would I be right in terms of dad, some kind of office and office energy, we get the and the Sun in reverse. So there is some selfish energy, but there is something there. And I think I need to connect more, but I just wanted to highlight that. I remember what I wanted to say. I wanted to say, actually, do you prefer the smaller readings? I've noticed that a lot of people are reloading their readings, because I don't think people listen to, you know, what you're listening to. And so you're taking in so much information from here and there, you forget you've actually listened to stuff. And I see people also making shorter clips. I think that's very hard when you're dealing with cases. But then there's also people that are sat on lives for like 3 hours that are doing well. And again, I just want to give what you all want. So here we've got I also was looking at that JS got lawyered up straight away, and I think I mentioned this in the other one. I don't think we can actually blame someone for getting lawyered up straight away, but is something. We've mentioned about the red drops, the lost samples in the fridge, the temperatures, the shed that apparently burnt. So let's see. Was there any evidence that they claim evidence was not spoiled but was spoiled? Was any evidence in this case spoiled? I'm not talking about other cases. There would be other evidence that could have been spoiled for cases actually. Would there be other, was there any evidence in this case that was spoiled by what happened? Yes, absolutely yes. Even the cards that are not my confirmation card. So DNA, that would have also been via the blunt and collected at the crime scene. Some of it was spoiled that they claim was not spoiled. And this is why I say I'm going to go to Delphi, by the way. I hear that there's a Netflix or there is a documentary that's just come out or coverage, and so I dare say something's going to start brewing around that again. I don't know when they're appealing and stuff, so I'm going to cover that a bit. So there was some DNA related to this case that was spoiled when they said it wasn't. Surely that should exonerate the DEATH penalty not being on the table. Again, this guy did it. This guy deserves it. We're talking from a justice law enforcement. Imagine you're talking about someone who is not guilty or not guilty of stuff like this. Like Richard Allen Delphi case. He is guilty of what I mentioned, like paganism, possibly a little. I didn't get a lot of people saying it was sex motivated and that's why he X'd them. What was on that, by the way? Did they say there was any evidence of sex? Like, because I was getting no in my reading, I believe. So we could be dealing with that kind of thing. And I can't even remember, did Richard Allen get the DEATH penalty? But you got to be at 200% at least for the DEATH penalty. Do you know what I also think? I feel like the defense had asked for evidence that they said they no longer have. They can no longer give to her because they don't have it. And this could be like evidence at the home, evidence or videos or victim or something like that. I feel like she asked for evidence and she was told they don't no longer have it. And I don't know if that's, they truly don't. I get a yes, but some of it was withheld, like, because some of the evidence actually had LE saying, like, this does not make sense. So when I go back to now being reminded, suspect one, suspect. If he's suspect one, that means there was other suspects. They haven't said why other suspects are no longer suspects. And with that, the defense were not allowed to bring in any other suspects. How can that be possible? That's terrible. And then JS, when I've looked into it, said he didn't know Kaylee, but he knew Maddie. And I was getting he knew Dylan, and the screenshots I've got is that he did know Dylan. She was in his class. But how can he say he doesn't know Kaylee? Does he mean like he doesn't know her as close as Maddie? But you would say, don't really know her. I know who Kaylee is, but I don't know her as a real friend like I do Maddie. But why didn't he mention Dylan? I just feel like the prosecutor, even at the end, I didn't see the speech, but the energy I'm getting is that they didn't really have something solid that kind of like, all of you shut up because this is the evidence and this is the story and this is what we know. It's kind of like, we don't know this, we don't know that. The DoorDash delivery had to tell us ourselves. There's no full stops and there's more questions. And like I mentioned in my psychic readings, I said they're just going to create a narrative and a story. And I said, didn't I? I said, you know, this thing about it being Maddie, I'll flow with you, but I'm saying from my side, no, the targets, it's not like that. They just have not said anything as a prosecution, which tells me something, because for BK to plead, they could have said, you could plead, take this plea deal, but you have to tell us this. And it seems like it just needed to be closed, done and dealt with. And I said that, you know, I think there's like a police officer that's left. This guy's got tired, and this main male prosecutor who leads, like the sheriff had left, and so they don't have everything in line for him to go forward and speak, and possibly another couple have left since then. Let's see, is BK... It seems like BK might have ideas, possibly ideas, information on a female that pretended she was asleep. And the reason I say this is because, look, the Six of Pentacles, information given and taken, a female, and there we've got a resting sleep card. I'm not sure why my notes is hard to click on it right now. Can you also remember I said that I kept seeing scratches on BK, like his hand, his face? I was like, when was that picture in the shower taken? When was that picture in the shower taken? And you know, I was told that it was like more or less immediately after. And I was like, well, okay, if he didn't have the mask, he would have scratches on. And so now they're saying he did have scratches, which aligns with what I would say. But then where were the scratches on that picture? It's kind of baffling to me. He's not always been cold and numb like he is now. It happened through, like I said. The other thing is, they said we didn't know what we were looking at because some of the victims were hurt so badly. Which is not something you want to hear, right? You don't want to hear you don't know who you was looking at or what happened, or, you know, because the victims were hurt so badly. You want someone to say, it was horrific. We didn't really know who was who, what was happening. Obviously, we had to take DNA. But I just think the way some of this is, it's not really answering anything or showing you true investigative reporting that answers. You know, you write this and then it's kind of like, well, that answers that. That leaves no room for questions. And it just seems, from what I've heard, this room for more questions. If I didn't think BK or seen that BK is the one, I would have taken this to town with so many things that I think can be asked, and some of them we've raised in here. And so how did BK slip? How did he slip? I might look at that in another part coming up. So stay tuned, because I also know there's something about the ID cards. We'll look at that as well. If you enjoyed this, give it a like and subscribe. Make sure you comment that this is one of your cases that you really want us to focus on, and we shall do that. Take care. And for some reason, Spirit is asking me to show the Temperance card, which is Sagittarius card, which is Archangel Michael, which is balance, bringing balance into a situation. You know, the bird is at the top, the water is at the bottom, the sun is rising behind the mountains. She's got 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on the ground, or the angel has. I don't know why I said she. What number is this? Spirit is telling me to know the number, and for some reason my Roman numerology has gone out the window. Given it is the Temperance card, I should bloody know, shouldn't I? Don't ask me. I'm told to show you this. I do what Spirit says. Number 14. 14 and 1 and 4 is 5. It's got the triangle similar to Illuminati. Your third eye is shining. Your crown chakra is shining. There's maybe daffodils here. There's a dove of peace. The wings are red. Oh, the wings are red. Yeah, the wings are red. So despite what's happened, all the red, the victims are in peace and cloaked in peace of white. No white here. And the red is behind them. Like injury that's behind them, but somehow attached. I'm going somewhere with this, if I would just be patient. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.